Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today, it's going to be a match between Probe and Namshar here on King's Cove, the latter edition, and a rematch nonetheless. If you didn't see the game between these two players on Port Alexander I posted a couple of weeks ago, go back and watch it. It is an incredible PvZ, and it will set up nicely for this one when you do watch this one. Link in the top right. Top left-hand corner is the Australian. Or Straya. Does that work? I don't know if that works. He's Protoss, and he is Probe. And in the bottom right, it is his enemy, hailing from Europe. It is the Blue Zerg player, Namshar. All right, man. PvZ action here on King's Cove. PvZ, my favorite matchup. I do love casting everything else, though. Cast some really, really fun ZVZ the other day. TLO versus Xanster. Oh my gosh, some really, really excellent stuff. So if you missed that because you're like, ZVZ is boring, I guarantee you, they were not boring. It was not boring. And I made it exciting, even the parts that maybe were a little slower than others. Good times here on the channel. I don't know, when I started this thing back in 2015, I hoped I would grow, I hope it would get big, but this is awesome. I'm having such a good time with it. I'm learning so much about casting. If you watch my early casts compared to what I do now, it is a ridiculous improvement. And I've done about 2,500, almost 300 casts by now. So 3,000 casts by now. So I hope there's some improvement. If there isn't, I don't know what's wrong with me. Just do it, man. That's what they say. If you want to do something, you want to get good at it, do it. And I've been doing it. All right, what do we got? Nothing too crazy, man. 1 gate expend here from Probe, hatch gas pool from Namshar. Namshar has some choices here. Does he want to go for 2 queens and speed before he takes his third, or take his third before those things are ready to go? And it looks like he wants to... Oh, that drone just transferred down. It could have moved up to go for the expansion, but it is going to be 2 queens, and it is going to be speed here, a couple trips, and there it is. And then he'll go for the 3rd hatch. So nothing too crazy here from him. There's an adept on the way, but the queen should be ready to go. And a handful of lings there to make sure that she can't get much done. So the question here for Probe is, what happens now? After that first adept, robotics facility opening. Which honestly can be a little bit susceptible to Mutalisk openings here. You want to be careful. You want to be careful your opponent isn't going for Aspire and Mass Muta, because if you don't have Phoenix to deal with that, it's hard. It's hard to deal with that. And Orcons are good. Blinkstalkers are good. Cannons are okay. Storm can be good too, but Phoenix are just the best way to deal with Mutalisks, and anything else just is just ridiculously and needlessly difficult, I think. So we'll see. We'll see what Namshar does with this information. If he ever notices that it's a robotics facility opening first here. Namshar's 3rd base is coming up down here to the south. The Adept does scout. There you go. Did head south to scout that thing. And the Queen ready to get some shots off as necessary. You know what, though? Remember how I said there would be... Wow. Remember I said there'd be ample Zerglings there? There were not. There were like 3. Don't finish that transfer. Don't finish that transfer. Oh boy. Woo, that was close. All right, so Probe knows what he's doing. He is not finishing that transfer. And as a result, everything is fine. The Adept is alive. No drones are dead either, but the Adept is alive. Man, look at that quick warp prism. This is a 3.5-minute warp prism from Probe. What are you going to warp prism? I mean, obviously gateway units, because he can't really do anything else other than, I guess, some Immortals if you want. Boy, Warp Prism Immortal this early would be incredible. Observer next thing. Ooh, Speed for Overlords is done for Namshar. Loving that. He scouts the early robotics facility. Warp Prism has a Stalker and a Sentry in it. This is interesting. I'm kind of liking this. Out of Probe, but it's aggressive Warp Prism play first up. It's not Archons either. You expect the Warp Prism to be full of Archons, but it's too early for that. This is so early that it's not. Immortal production has begun, because why would you have a robotics facility and not make Immortals? Makes no sense whatsoever. So Warp Prism coming on down, and yeah, you're expecting Archons in that thing, but that's not what it is. It's just a couple sentries and a Stalker. What is going on here? Is he going to try to force field out? I think he was going to... Man, I don't know. I don't know what this is. And not knowing what it is freaks me out, man. He's trying to force field... This is not one of those places you can force field the workers in and kill them. I don't know. Let's keep an eye on this thing. Hey, what up, Warp Prism? What you doing? Zerglings, once they find you, though, as a Warp Prism, you're going to have a bad day. Just like anytime you try to unload anything, Lings are smashing on it. Creep Tumor. Oop, canceled it. Decided to head in south there instead. as it will be shot at. I'm loving that the Overlord just has full vision of everything in the main base right now. He's like, yeah, we're good. Nothing can really shoot up, and here we go. The Lings try to get that surround. They just kill, you know, lose a couple Lings in the process. Nothing too insane. Namshar just really going for roaches at this point. 12 roaches at a time in production for the Zerg player. Immortal count getting a little scary. There's already one, and there's going to be two. Look, man, I know you're like, Falcon, 2 Immortals isn't scary. 2 Immortals can kill so much stuff. Did you watch the Cheese compilation on the channel last week? If you missed it, because you're like, it's not GM level stuff, dude. Some really, really fun stuff, including an Immortal that ends up with way more kills than it ever should in an incredible, incredible ZVP. Go check it out. Go check out the Cheese compilation. Check out all of the Cheese compilations. They're so much fun. They are so much fun. Third base here by Probe. Difficult when there are Zerglings squatting on your land. And that third base is being scouted here too, so no matter which way you look at it, Probe's third is being delayed here, and that's nice. That is really nice for Namshar. Fourth base timing seems to be now. Again, 2 sentries and a stalker trying to get stuff done. It's just not going to happen, man. The roaches are tired of waiting around for stuff to kill that attacks them. I think they might move out and start killing stuff here. Look at this. The Overseer knows. He knows there's nothing that can really kill him. Oh my gosh, the Lings. The Lings! Oh, so dang close to getting it down, but all the army shows up to make sure that doesn't happen. And then Immortal's behind the wall there. That is going to be extremely injured Nexus. Lings could flood in there and snipe it sometime sooner rather than later. Namshar is taking a 4th base, recognizing he couldn't snipe the 3rd base. For Probe, he's going to wait for the 3rd base to come in. Then the 4th base should get started. If that got canceled, there'd probably be an attack from Probe coming. Probe's like, all right, let's 2 base this. And in that case, you don't want to have a 4th. In that situation, 3 bases is more than enough. Charge on the way. Templar Archives on the way. Nothing but roaches and roaches and more roaches here from the Zerg player Namshar. APM for these players, kind of insane at this stage. 306 average for Probe, 4112. 4112, 412 for Namshar. You know, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/FalconPaladin. You can get bonus casts for Brood War and StarCraft 2 every week. I put stuff out there. It's a good place to be, man. Good place to hang out. Also, there's the podcast. Have you ever listened to the podcast before, Falcon Paladin Hour? You're like, I don't know, man. Don't you? I mean, if you like listening to Falcon, which maybe you do since you're here. I guess I can't speak for everyone. But a weekly podcast with myself and Samacron and Aussie, who, just like Probe here, is from Australia. And we talk about StarCraft and movies and TV shows and books and all sorts of nerdy stuff that you love too. Video games, games done quick stuff that's going on right now. Summer GDQ. One of my favorite times of the year for sure. All right, so it's Immortal Zealot here. Oh, forcing the recall. The roaches. Wow, all right, all those roaches are dead. Nice forcing a recall, though. That was an extremely scary Protoss army that was moving out right there. Like, really terrifying. And his 4th base is now happily still alive. Some roaches died in the process, but I think that was worth the sacrifice, personally. Archons on the way now from Probe. Yep. Extra Archons, rather. He's already got a couple. Lurker Den coming in. Again, Immortal versus Lurker's pretty great. 6 Immortals already out. Running around here. That's a pretty good number if you're expecting Lurkers out from a Zerg player. Lurker Den almost done. Will they be able to be out in time is the question. Couple roaches trying to harass up here at the 3rd base, being extremely annoying. Immortal left behind to try to save it. Great kiting here. Out of Namshar and out of Probe. This base is in trouble. Hydras are coming out, but there are no Lurkers in production at all. And this 4th base looks like it's going to go down. Meanwhile, Roaches going after everything here in the 3rd base. Can they get that cannon? The answer is yes, and these Probes are going to start falling in the hatch. Ends up getting killed there, though. Probe takes it to a 3v3 base scenario. Namshar is in a heaping helping of trouble right now. Immortal does clear up the attack at the 3rd because that's what Immortals do. Oh, man. Roach, Hydra, losing that base was a big deal. He's not even bothering with Lurkers. He recognizes the Immortal count is stupid high right now. Nice snipe. Sniping off an Archon is a great job there by Namshar, without question. Storm is on the way from Probe. He's going to have all the tools to really ruin Namshar's day here in just a couple of minutes, if even that. And he really is just trying to keep Probe out there. If Probe comes up a ramp, he's going to be in trouble. But he can't replace his 4th either. And here is the traditional warping into the Zealots into the main base. Charge Lot, so annoying to deal with. Although Hydras and Roaches can handle it fairly well. The attack on the left side happening. Now at the 3rd, a lot of Zealots go down. That was some nice target firing there from Namshar. Once again, more Zealots getting warped in. Warp Prism being extremely annoying, but being handled to this stage. More Roaches, man. More Roaches showing up here. 12 probes have gone down. 9 drones have been killed. Namshar, 57. Probe, 56. Immortals just kind of standing in against Roaches like this are going to be just fine. They are okay with this in every stretch of the imagination. These Roaches, though, where's your Warp Prism? Where's your Warp Prism? When Immortal does get killed, does not live up to its name there. Man, when you're running like this and you don't have a Warp Prism to save you, it can be pretty scary. Another one dead. Another one dead. Another one dead as the storms keep coming in. Keeping that Immortal count low is hugely important. Another warping of Charge Lots at the 3rd base, though. Namshar doesn't have enough to defend against this. I don't think he has to bring his army home to deal with these Zealots. Turnabout is fair play, says Probe. You attack my 3rd, force me to come home. I'm going to attack everything else with my Charge Lots and force you to come home. This is just so hard to deal with. +2 attack Charge Lots. Hit everything so hard. They're decent against Hydras. They're decent against Roaches. They're really good against Lings. Oh, Warp Prism does get sniped by the Hydra, though. Nice pick up there by Namshar, making it happen. The whole army comes back. All the Zealots are gone. Future Zealots kind of a hard time getting here. And Namshar is taking a 4th base, but as is Probe. So, yeah, I think Probe has a lead here just because his 4th base is coming up sooner, honestly, or the same time as Namshar's is, and you want to be a base up there. Losing that base and not being able to replace it for very long was a problem for Namshar. Resources lost here, 10,000 for him, 8,500 for Probe. They've both given as good as they've gotten here. Hydras are out, but the Storm is out too. That's what you need versus these Hydralisks, is that Storm. It's been this way since 1998. Hydra versus Storm was a thing in the original StarCraft, and continues to be to this day. All right, Probe decides enough is enough. Let's go. Got Immortals. We've got Storm. We have an Archon. We have some Charge Lots here. Doesn't seem like it's a huge army. Namshar is up 124 to 89 overall in supply. That doesn't mean a whole lot, though. Protoss, with really supply-heavy units here, can counter many, many Zerg units that are not as high in that supply. Lurker spread here so that Archon Splash doesn't hurt as much, and I think that's just going to force Probe home. I don't know if he wants to engage with the Roach Hydra army with Lurker support. You want to go in there if the Lurkers are alone, sure. But this many Lurkers with Hydras backing it is a very dangerous proposition, and Probe has decided he doesn't want to go in. A couple of Hydras getting caught out on the left side, trying to kite against these Zealots and run. They do manage to run, which is nice. They escape. They're heading up the left way, maybe trying to find a nexus to snipe if you're into that kind of thing. But it's up here, man, and it's already done. Probe on 4 bases versus Namshar on 4 bases. Probe can afford to be patient because, again, this is not a situation Namshar wants to be in. He doesn't want to be on 4 bases versus 4 bases. He's making a 5th now. Does have fairly well protected with all of these Lurkers. And Probe interested really just in going to Stargate, working on +3 attack for his ground units. Roach Hydra showing up at the 4th, but enough Charge Lots are here to just absolutely crush that. Especially if there's some Storm in the mix. You know what? You don't even need the Storm. Just trap them in and hack them down. Man, just so easily handled. I think maybe a couple probes went down, but not all that much. I love that Namshar's going for it, though. I honestly do. There have been some recent casts where Zerg players have been pretty worried about counterattacking. But Namshar is not worried about it. And here comes Probe. Your army, he says, is kind of far away. Let's take this down. Oh, the blanket storms on the Lurkers are just tearing them apart. Not as much as he wants them to, though. The Immortals need to get the hits off there. And actually does manage to save this base with just reinforcing units. This Archon really should not be allowed to survive. If you're Namshar, and it barely does not survive. That was close. Almost escaped. Roach Hydra coming up to Probe's 4th again. There are some Charge Lots here, but this is a better composition for Namshar. The Zealots want nothing to do with that. More reinforcing units coming in, and he lets it finish. If he killed that pylon, he actually cancels that warp in, and just a combination of Storms and Zealots with an Archon or 2 is enough to shove this away. Probe knows what's up. All right, so the good news, Namshar is back on 5 bases, and Probe is taking his 5th right now. Fleet Beacon coming in, so we're going to see some late-game Tempests and Carriers likely out of Probe. He does like those units. Hive just now getting started for Namshar. So Probe is further along on his tech tree. He should be able to get up to his higher tech before Namshar is, and that's not a good sign for the Zerg player either, but he's done okay. He's done okay so far. He's kept his losses pretty close to what Probe's have been. He's killed a bunch of the workers for the Protoss, 13 of them. He has lost 12 of his own drones, but even is even, and even is Steven. Coming on down, Probe, again, patiently, ponderously, heading down to the south here. Ooh, Archon drops at 15 minutes, which the Overlord absolutely did see that. So reaction time should be pretty decent here. And by that, I mean, maybe he didn't actually see it. And this is totally a surprise. Yeah, the Hydras show up, and that's where things get bad. Both Warp Prisms and Archons do not like Hydralisks. Hydras chew them up from distance and spit them out. All right, here we go. Archons, Immortals. Ugh. Archons in the front to absorb all that damage. Lurkers burrowing on in. Digging Claw's not actually done. Adaptive Talons, rather? Is that what it is? Not actually done, surprisingly. Archon's getting some things, but not really. And pooping Overlords and spotting locations where Probe would want to expand along these edges. 3 Infestors in production with Pathogen Glands for Namshar. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and start Carrier production, says Prober at 16 minutes. Seems like a good time. Namshar doesn't seem like he's going to try to overwhelm me with anything anytime soon here. Couple drones go down, transferring on in, and then the army just heads on back home. Again, great storms, but the high ground Lurkers are hard to deal with. Yeah, those Zealots are done. I'm going to take a couple Hydras with them, but really nothing too crazy. Yeah, I mean, other than that big attack that took down Probe's 4th base, it's been... I don't know, Probe's been very careful. He just prefers his carrier setup to what he's got here, which is very scary, by the way. It's really, really terrifying. The Lurkers are what are saving Namshar right now. But the carriers are where Probe wants to be. Charge Lots heading down, while at the same time Charge Hydras are heading up the other way. And the Hydras are going to win that one because they're ranged, and they just hit like absolute trucks there. Fungals, ooh, forcing a recall there. Fungal on a lot of that army. A couple Archons go down, and the rest of them are forced to head home. That was good. Fungals really can turn the tide in a lot of battles here. So 5 bases to 5 bases. I don't know why Namshar hasn't tried to expand here. We have some detection. Well, a little bit of detection here from Probe, trying to see what's going on. And yeah, Probe is able to start in on 6th. What is going on, Namshar? You're supposed to be expanding like every 2 minutes if you're a Zerg. What is up? I guess he was behind on tech, and he didn't really have the resources to spare. Just kidding. He's at 3,000 minerals. Dude, expand like 3 times right now. Probe is playing defensively. Probe heading down the right side from the top to the bottom. And Namshar heading up the left side for a bit of a counterattack himself here, trying to see what he can do when the army's on the other side of the map. Liking that. I really do like this out of Namshar. He's been trying to get it done. He just keeps running into charge lots, heading in the opposite direction and killing them. There's a warping of Zealots, and here are the carriers. So these Hydras... he's not going to have a good time. Storm and Carrier is really good versus Hydralisk. Hydralisk HP is just not enough to withstand both of those things together. Broodlords in production now for Namshar. We're 19 minutes in. The Broodlords are here. The Carriers are here. The Mothership is on the way from Probe. And we are getting into the late game. We are super late gaming it right now. Got 4 Stargates. 6 Stargates for Probe. Other tech structures exist otherwhere else. And Probe says, I've got a few carriers. Let's go. Let's make this thing happen. Adaptive Talons is getting started for Namshar. Dark Shrine on the way from Probe, actually. We'll see what happens there. So there's the fungal, and then the Broodlords are pretty good against the Immortals, especially if they've been fungled. Yeah, the Immortals have a really bad time against Broodlings, just like they do against Zerglings. A bunch of Changelings got chucked down. Try to keep that vision there. Coming in from angles, though. Probe turns around, storms all of the infested Terrans there, and storming the ever-loving crap out of those Broodlords. Chasing it down, and Immortal with 20 kills and 11 HP manages to survive, if just for the time being. Spore crawlers and spines getting tossed up. Zealots do manage to get on into this natural base. Nice queen block, and the Hydras finish him off, though. And some Lurkers getting into Probe 6, too. Shutting it down quite effectively, too. Look at that. Look at that. Namshar giving, again, as good as he gets here. The main engagement is the main attraction, but there are still sideshows going on all over the place, man. Chain fungling on those carriers, allowing the Hydra to catch up to them. God, 2 carriers down. Namshar, big deal there. Really keeping that carrier count low. Is there enough to finish off the one that he wants to get? He gets it. Sacrifices a couple Hydras to get there. Some Zealots do manage to chase out the Lurkers and wipe them out from that 6th base. Shut it down. 70 to 64 workers for Namshar. And army supply 107 to 125 in favor of the Protoss. But additional infestors on the way. Infestors have once again, DTs shown up. Once again found themselves to be really important to late game everything for Zerg these days. Yeah, DTs. So one behind Dark Shrine. I'm not sure that Probe is behind. I'm not sure they did much either there, honestly. That was a lot of gas. Kind of tossed into a few drone kills, I guess. I mean, considering, I don't know, considering how many drones are getting tossed down on static defense here, I think Namshar is probably killing more of his own workers than Probe is at the moment. So both players very patient, more Corruptors in production here. You really need to get into Corruptor more against those carriers, especially as the numbers get bigger. Exactly what we're seeing. Namshar trying to take a, is that a 7th along the left side? It sure is. Dark Templar finds it. A bunch of charge lots find it. And that's a cancel, man. Is he really? No, he can't save that. Yeah, the Zealots die, but canceling that base is a pretty big deal for Probe. He's got to keep Namshar on as few bases as possible. Charge lots trying to snipe down the Greater Spire. What a snipe here from Probe. Chain fungling them down. No, can't save it. Greater Spire goes down. Look how hard it is to kill these guys. Meanwhile, Dark Templar kills the 7th hatch, too. At the same time, Probe is everywhere. He's multitasking right now. Looking really, really scary in the process, too. Man. All right, so army supply 133 to 132. Namshar has a lead. He's got what he wants. He doesn't have the ability to make more Broodlords, which is terrible. But he's building 2 more spires somewhere. Not here, are they? No. Where are they? Down here at the 3rd. Fair enough. Seems fine. Are you kidding me? Ah! He gets the hatch again. That is 3 denials on this hatchery by Probe. Oh, he's not going to get the Spire. Probe, you are filthy. You are a filthy, filthy Dark Templar Zealot Warpinner guy. The Infestation Pit be a massive target here, too, if he can't. But he's hurting it enough that follow-up attacks might. Yeah, look at that. Took it down to 50% health. It did. Why are these Broodlings killing this queen? Seems like a missed target. And if you ask me, probably that's what it was. Okay, so the replacement spires are done. Greater Spire coming in from one of them, and additional upgrades plus 3 flyer on the way now. Probe 7th base is happily coming up here. Oracle shows up at the 25-minute mark. Sure, man, whatever. Whatever you're into. Oracles at this stage of the game are just fine. And they are. They are there for revelation and keeping track of the enemy army and where they are. I've never noticed the spotlights that come down off of this mothership. Have you seen this before? Just like big rotating spotlights on each of these arms. It's kind of really pretty. Also, look at all these shield batteries. Good crap. What is this? How does he keep sneaking stuff in here? Probe, you're an insane person. Moving on the creep. Got a lot of infestors, man. They've all been revelated, so Probe knows where they are at all times. And he knows some really good narrow parasites could end his day here, so he's staying away from them. Killing a bunch of changelings. I don't have any zealots in my army. Why are you pretending to be zealots to fool me? It's always bothered me about changelings. They really, really should be able to change themselves in any ground units that are actually with the army, like into an Immortal or something. Just look like one, right? Maybe one day. I don't think it would change things too much, but it'd make things more interesting, I believe. I'm sure the pros would still know what's a changeling and what's not a changeling, but for people like you and me, it could be kind of a cool deal. Is this more Dark Templar stuff? It certainly is, you guys. Are you kidding me? He's going to deny the 7th base again? Well, yes. Yes, he is, Falcon. I'm glad you asked. Alright, Viper's in production now from Namshar. Another expansion here for Probe. Namshar has taken a 7th base in peace on the right side. I'm trying to replace this one on the left side. We'll call it the 8th from now on. Or, I don't know, this has been the 7th for a while. Let's keep it as the 7th and the right side base is the 8th, even though chronologically it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's sometimes what happens. Sacrificing these Immortals for just more air stuff, I think is what this is. I don't know why they'd be here so unsupported. A Charge Lot Immortal push at 27 minutes makes no sense at all. Unless you're just trying to take down the 7th hatch again. Which it kind of looks like you are. Probe? I mean, maybe focus down the hatch. The 8th base is going to get sniped out too, though. Oh, man. Probe is everywhere right now. The Immortals do not get the 7th hatch again. Neural Parasite on the Oracle to take her down. So 7th base lives, 8th base is done. Probe is just, he's a genius tactically at finding little areas to sneak in and snipe down hatcheries and keep Namshar down a little bit. But yeah, at this point, it's carriers all the way, man. 3 carriers in production. Probe is maxed out. It is carrier mothership, which I'm surprised by. Usually, I guess there are 8 High Templar too. I was going to say, usually you have some High Templar in there. Throw down some Storm against the Corruptors and things, because if it's just carriers, they're going to die to a lot of different stuff. They need support from Storm to make it happen. Dude, these charge lots do not care about your spines, do they? They do not. Both spines go down. Probe's coming in to free up supply. Changelings spying on the Zerg for the Zerg, which never makes any sense at all. Is that +3 shields coming in? By golly, it is. +3 shields on the way from Probe. His upgrades have been super great. 28 minutes into this thing, he's going to have 333 for his carriers sooner rather than later. More Probes coming in to sacrifice themselves to the carrier gods. As Probe's like, I don't need 70 workers. What's wrong with you? Carriers tacking on in again. Carriers can bleed you dry as Protoss. If you make a ton of carriers and you're attacking in and constantly losing interceptors and having to replace them, eventually the map gets mined out, and eventually you can't make any more interceptors and the carriers are dead weight. So you got to be careful with that. But the Hydralisk Den goes down. The Roach Warren is going to go down here too. Is Namshar actually going to take down a base? He's threatened to. He's threatened to take down a base more than once, but he finally gets probed 7th along the left side here. Just kidding, 8th along the left side here. Dark Templar takes out the 8th base of Namshar again. Oh my gosh. This Dark Templar stuff that Probe is doing. Went ahead, Dark Shrine. Another Neural on that Oracle. I want to make you use resources on Oracles over and over and over and over. 8th base getting replanted, 7th base technically alive, which is exactly where Namshar wants it to be. 53 workers, army supply 151 and 142 overall losses here, 41,000 for Probe and 36,000 for Namshar. But some of that is Probe donating stuff to Namshar to free up supply to make other stuff like 3 carriers at a time. Or another Oracle, you know what I mean? Zealots just really good at dealing with static defense at this stage of the game, especially if they have, 3, 3, 3. Actually, you know what? Do they have any grounded armor? I don't think they do. So they're 3, 3, which is still insanely stupidly good. Look at him not caring about these spines at all. Like, we'll just kill you and all your drones at the same time. Right side, 8th base is canceled. Probe's over here now. Sniping off a couple infestors. They're not quite sure what to do with themselves. And then Zealots in the main, because what else have we been doing this entire time? Other than Zealots in the main. Somebody's got to kill that War Prism. Where is it? Hydras want to kill it before it recalls out. It does manage to escape. Ah, Namshar's frustrated by that one. All right, so how many bases are left here? The 8th base is left. There's a 9th base each player can take here, left and right side. I guess this is the 8th for Probe that went down. So yeah, we're running out of bases here 31 minutes into this game. More probes getting sacrificed to the Zerg God to allow more carrier production. Poor probes. Moment of silence for sacrificial probes. See, now probe can make another carrier. Watch this. Production tab says absolutely nothing. Okay, he just wants to be at 188 supply. I thought for sure he had sacrificed those probes for no reason. Or for a reason. But charge lots in the main again. Going after the hive is not a bad target, but it's a big target, and it's hard to take down. If there's any kind of defense at all, and there is right now. Ling Hydra pretty good in the situation. Caustic Spray getting tossed down on this Nexus in progress. Probe loses the Nexus, does not actually cancel it at all. And Probe says, so that means the army is other places if they're dealing with those harass. And they're harassing me on the other side of the map. So we'll just do some damage to these creep tumors. Keep them back there. And these Zerglings are kind of annoying from Namshar. What does he got here? He's got a +3 armor on them, +3 attack, and Adrenal Gland. So Super Cracklings are here. Storm trying to shut this thing down. Not doing a bad job of it, actually, but the Hydras are more problematic here when it comes to keeping this place alive. The cannons do take care of the Zerglings. Again, the Hydras are a bigger problem. The army for Probe has to come all the way back home. The Zealots in the main base did take down the Hive, and they're going to get the Infestation Pit, which is a huge deal. Man, Namshar needs to make sure this Warp Prism doesn't go anywhere else, because this has been really, really consistently bad for Namshar this entire game, it feels like. Okay, so 2 bases left alone right now. Nobody has vision on them. Probe is trying to expand on the one on the top left. More Zealots, man. And again, if we talked about mining the map out, Zealots are minerals too. And if you're constantly tossing minerals down on the map and losing them, eventually you're going to run out. And then your ability to make more Zealots is done. But not today. The spawning pool is going to go down. Namshar was prepared for this. He's already making another spawning pool. And Cracklings versus almost fully upgraded charge lots. Pretty good battle, honestly. The Lings do pretty well for themselves there. Is there more? By golly, we're just going to follow the charge lot drops here all day long, aren't we? Hey, another huge one coming in. I guess the Lurker Den is a target, but otherwise I'm not sure why you would warp in here like this. But sure, man. Lurkers are a concern, I guess. Oh, they got the mothership with an assimilation. Nice. Neural Parasite taking it down, throwing down some time warps. And yeah, and you show up. Oh, get it. Get it. Neural it or something. Fungal it. That works. Corruptors take it down. Another one out. Probe just on a massacre to take down hatcheries, man. Evolution chambers, I guess, at this stage. Look at these guys survive. All right, well, they're not going to survive our Brood Lords. So, fairly well, guys. Probe coming on in to this 7th base. A side of much sadness for Namshar. He's evacuating it fully. He doesn't have the ability to stop this. He is forced to retreat as the hatchery goes down. Creep Queen's getting rocked there, too. Another mothership on the way from Probe. He wants that mothership. He wants that cloaking. And he's happy with the damage that he caused there. Probe's base along this right side, I think that's his 7th, is in trouble. Charge Lots here at Namshar's 8th, going to take that one down. God, what an insane game this has been. The Lings do not manage to get the hatch because the recall of the entire carrier army shuts that down. Hiders dealing with these Charge Lots after the hatchery is already dead. Unfortunately, a lot of spores coming in to assist if the carriers decide to head on this direction, and they do not. By the way, the infestor count is kind of insane right now. There are 22 infestors. 22 infestors on the ground is a lot of infestors. They've been used. They've been used. A lot of fungals, a lot of neural parasites. Infested Terrans getting tossed down. Changelings do manage to actually, some of them sneak into this army. See where the High Templar are. And Caustic Spray going to take down a Nexus. Oh, almost. Oh, no, 71 HP. Stay in there. Stay in there for a second longer. I guess maybe we can send some Lings up to wreck it at some point. Just Cracklings are ready to go. Charge Lots, left side. Big army, right side. What else have we seen here today? Probe has just been a master of the multi-pronged harass. Dude, send the guys. Send the infested Terrans up. They can get it. They can. They benefit from upgrades. They have +3 attack. Falcon checks. They have +3 attack. I guess it doesn't matter. The Broodlords are going to finish that sucker off anyway. Namshar's getting some minor victories here in the last couple of minutes of this match. Takes down a Nexus. Takes down another Nexus here. And suddenly Probe is looking a little bit mineral starved. He doesn't have much by way of income. He has to get a little bit braver here with his attacks. Ah, mothership down again. Double abduct. Triple. Oh, double abduct into a neural parasite is what that was. Cloaked Zerg units are always very fun. 7th base down again. 8th base for Probe down again. They are just giving it to each other like heavyweight fighters in the ring here. Like the 6th or 7th round right now. Both players are taking serious hits to the face, blows to the body. They both had their bell rung multiple times here. Namshar's income is not all that healthy either, man. His 8th base is trying to come up, but 24 to 53 workers. Probe has 24 probes. I'm not sure he wants that few. I mean, he was sacrificing them earlier, but man. Charge Lot DT attack into Hydralisk positions with no static defense to assist here. My goodness, that was a crushing right side attack coming on in. Storms, Fungals on the Interceptors, and the ground army getting bruthlinged up a little bit here. Might be a recall situation for Probe if he's not careful. He is losing High Templar. He is losing Archons at a fairly impressive rate here for Namshar, a terrifying rate for Probe. Charge Lots and DT still going to town in the southern section of the map here. A lot of Infestors getting taken down. God, and feedbacks there too. So, I mean, the anti-air here is pretty good, but it's slow from the Infested Terrans. They can't keep up. These guys are still alive. They're going to take down another hatchery. Meanwhile, trying to kill as many of... Wow, trying to kill as many of those Interceptors as he can. There's only 107 of them. Lings finally come in here in numbers to take down this Zealot Dark Templar group. And Probe pushes Namshar back. A lot of Infestors have died here, you guys. A lot of Infestors have gone down, making 4 more at a time. Bank here for Namshar is better than Probe's. 3,000, 4,000. Probe sitting at 0 minerals right now. Namshar looking good. Looking really good in the ZVP. He decides the counterattack of Lings and Hydras. It's time now. Since Probe's on this side of the map. Here is your engagement of insanity right now, though. Storms on everything on the ground. More Infested Terrans getting tossed down all the time, though. And there's no storm to handle them. They are getting picked off quite nicely, though. The Broodlords are finishing off everything on the ground, which just means the carriers are alone. However, I don't think there are enough Corruptors or Infestors here to deal with this group. The Broodlords are all going to die, which is a problem. Probe's not trying to expand anywhere. He just has the bit of mineral income that he has, and that's the end of the day. for him. Probe's army, 101 to 95. Namshar has a lot of corruptors in production. He's going to try to deal with this with a whole bunch of corruptors against how many carriers? Against 16 carriers. And there will be about 20-something corruptors. I don't think a 1-to-1 count is going to work out here all that well. The infestors need to pull up additional energy, which they're trying to do here. Man, if they had some neural parasites, it'd be so useful. The target fire on the infestors is so good. There's a fungal on the carriers, slowing them down. Infested Terrans here lending their DPS to the battle as well. Carrier group is slowly getting whittled down here, but is it enough on the corruptor side to actually take this sucker down? I don't know that it is. 9 carriers remaining. Only 5 corruptors on the ground, though. Infested Terrans killing more of those interceptors. Every one of those interceptors you can kill is a win, and the carrier group does win that battle. Hiders and Lings inside Probe's main base, trying to kill what they can, just trying to start the base race earlier. At this stage right now, Namshar is desperately trying to produce additional corruptors to deal with these carriers. 34 kills on 2 of these carriers. 24, 31, 30, 43, 19. These are carriers that have seen some stuff. The infestors need to stay alive. No, the storms, though. Not a good way to stay alive is getting stormed. How the heck? Oh, High Templar came from Nowheresville to shut that down. Army supply 81 to 54. This is getting an epic tag. I cannot believe how close this game is right now. Infested Terrans getting stormed, firing and largely dying there too. What great storms out of Probe. Armies of Life 55 to 23. Production for Namshar is in the toilet. He's making more corruptors. He's not quite sure what to do with himself. Carrier group is just too strong here. Sure, the base race is kind of favoring the Zerg a little bit. Honestly, not all that much, though. Archon has got 4 kills in the mix there, too. 49 kill carrier. 54 kill carrier. Like, fully upgraded carriers are no joke, you guys. No joke at all. Probe actually has almost enough resources to expand again, and by golly, he does. He's just building gateways. Just trying to build gateways at this stage, which is a pretty good deal, because I think most of what Namshar is trying to build is gonna be corruptors to deal with the carriers, and corruptors are really bad against, you know, zealots, for example. Again, I like this, what Namshar is doing. He's like, if we're gonna end up base racing, maybe I can kill him without having to actually kill his army. But, I don't know. I'm not sure how that's a possibility. That is a lot of shield batteries and cannons over here. Namshar pulling back to, or rather, Probe pulling back to his one source of income right now. He has enough to build a Nexus, but he keeps spending it on other stuff, like interceptors and whatnot. Actually comes home to deal with this little base race army. Wipes out most of them. Scouts the gateways that are coming up here. Broodlord in production from Namshar, but it's 55 to 22 army supply. Namshar does not have the income, nor the resources, nor the worker count at 7 to produce the army that he needs to deal with this army of Probes. I think Probe has done it, you guys. I think he's won this thing on the back of 60-plus kill carriers, which, man, Zerg players would just be so happy if they could get a unit that was capable of getting 60-plus kills all by itself, like Protoss has multiple ones of. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's kind of an A move from Probe. Just kill the Spore Crawlers as they come in. Kill the Spines as they come in. The damage output is insane right now. The Infestor's getting sniped down. Infested Terran just getting stormed the instant they do anything, and they end up dead so fast. They're so dang squishy, and that's your good game. Probe is your winner in 43 minutes and 50 seconds. Woo! That came down to it. That really came down to it. I'm not sure if that deserves an epic tag. It wasn't quite as down to the wire as I thought it was going to be. Probe's army was 66 compared to Namshar's, whatever it was. So, I mean, the game was decided about 5 or 6 minutes before it actually came into completion. But yeah, it was these carriers. It was the carriers, man. Carrier Storm, really, really hard for Zerg to deal with, it turns out. The Infested Terrans do hit like trucks, but if you know how to handle them with Storm, they actually don't do all that much. Neural Parasite could have been pretty good. We kind of stopped seeing that after a while, though, I feel like. Fair or not, I think we stopped seeing it. But yeah, in the end, what a nuts game that was. 87,000 resources lost for Namshar, 80,000 lost for Probe. Whew. 39 corruptors died. That's a lower number of corruptors than I thought Namshar had made in that game. 30 total infestors, though, is a ton of gas. 13 broodlords, 200 zerglings. How many hatcheries died? 13 hatcheries, and a hive went down. And that doesn't count the ones that were canceled either, which was several. This left side base getting sniped was hugely problematic for Namshar. Several times it went down, really keeping him from getting where he wanted to be economically. Kept him behind on upgrades, kept him behind on just ability to get a bank up and produce units fast enough. Yeah, I mean, Probe is effectively on even bases a lot of the game for Namshar, and that's where you want to be. How many carriers died? Let's find out. I'm staring right at him. I know it. 15. 15 carriers died for a total of 7 remaining there. That's a pretty decent attrition rate there. 5 Nexuses went down. Good number for Namshar. 234 zealots. That is a lot of produced zealots. That is so many zealots. That is more zealots than zerglings in this game. Wow. 2 motherships went down. 29 High Templar. And every immortal that was produced, which is 13. So good game from both these players. But that's going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Go ahead, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch. Hull./Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.